As in the last lecture, we discussed the system module and then modified this standard input and standard output stream using the files. Today, we will see some extra data structures provided by the Python. So first we will discuss about the list. So what are lists? So lists are a type of data structure which stores data inside the square brackets. Let's create a list named as x and then store value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 57, 89, 45, etc. So you can print this list x. So this is a type of list which stores data in this format. So you can access any element. So this each data is called as an element of the list or an item of an list. So we can access any of this item using a specific index given to this list. So the 1 is given the index as 0, then the 2 as 1, 3 as 2, 4 as 3, 5 as 4, 67 as 5, 89 as 6, 45 as 7. So here these are the indexes of these numbers. So here we can take x, the list name, and then the square bracket, and then mention the number of index. So here if we mention 0 and then print this, so we will get only the first element or the first item of the list x. So it is 1. So if we change this to 7, so you can see that we will get 45, as 45 is the 7th index element. So here it can be calculated by the number at which it is present minus 1. So it is first, this is second, third. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So it is 2. So here it is the second element. And then similarly you can find out this is 8th element, but 8 minus 1 is 7. So its index is 7. So you can access any of this and then print. So you can also modify this list using this same assignment, using the same notation x of 6, and then change this to anything using an assignment operator and then the value. So let's change this to 29. So now if you print the x of 6, you will get 29. Let's print the whole list. So you can see at the index 6 we have assigned the variable as 89. We have assigned the element as 89, but as we modified this using this statement, this is similar to assigning any variable. So here this value is assigned to this variable. So here this variable can be seen as x of index 6. So here it is 89. So 89 is now changed to 29. So here you can see the new list as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 67, 29 and 45. So similarly, if we take another list, so let's create this as empty list. So as we learned in our college mathematics that there is something called as sets which can be null or have finite and infinite. Similarly, these are type of set, but here repetition are allowed. So let's take 1 again, 2 again, 3 again. So here repetitions are allowed. So we can also create an empty list using just this square bracket. So this is an empty list. Let's print this also. So you can see empty list is printed, only the square brackets. So this list in other languages is also called as an array. So here this list is same as array but has some more features given by the Python. So here as we created a new empty list, so it doesn't contain any value. So we can add value in this using the in place operator or the addition operator as y plus the list. We have to add 1, 2, 3. Let's take some other values, 78, then 45, 90, and then run. So now you can see 78, 45, 90 are added to the empty list. So let's change this to value some 100, 101, 34, etc. So here we can see, let's print this in our next line. So now you can see that 100, 101, 34, these elements were present previously, but after addition of this another list, we can see a new list of 100, 101, 34, 78, 45, and 90. So here we have to compulsorily give the square brackets, means the list. We can only add list to list only. We can't add directly the list and integers. Let's see. So this will throw an error that only concatenate list to list, as these are the integers given, so not int. It is specified that we are as concatenating integer to an list, so it compulsorily requires an list to be added. So if you have to don't use this list formation and directly add some values, so you can use a special method given to the list as y dot. Dot is used to access any method of the data structure or the object. So here you can type append, means add. So here you can give any value. So let's take as 4, 5, 6. So now you can see these all values were present before. After this statement, you can see that 456 was added. So let's print here for more clear interaction. So you can see first this y list 10, 100, 101, and then 34 was there. After this statement, y got changed to 100, 101, 34, and 456. This append will always add this element to the last of this array, inside the ending of the array. So if you have to specify and mention the correct index of this element, you can use y.insert, and then this method you can see here, you will require an index and object, means this is the value which we have to insert. So here if we have to insert at the first position, which is 0, that is the first parameter, and then we can use the value 456. So now you can see here the 456 value is assigned at the first position of the list. So list can be also sorted using a method called as y, means the list dot sort. So if we use this, so you can see that it is sorted in the ascending format. So this is first 34, then 100, then 101, then 456. So this sorts the list. So let's also sort the x. Let's sort. So here you can see the same numbers are appeared after one another. So as we repeated 1 2 times, so here you can see 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, then 4, 5, 45, 69, and 89. So here sort is a good feature which can be used. So here if we take, so let's remove this, and let's take an index number which is not present in the list. So let's take y of 100 and then assign it an value as 100. So if we run this, so you can see here you got an index error, as here we doesn't have any index number as 100 defined, which is predefined. So here 0, 1, and 2, only these three index are defined by us. So here we have decided only three indexes, so the 100 number index is not defined here. Let's reduce this to 5, as here we don't have a fifth index also. So if we run, we get the same index error, as without the index present in this list we can't assign any value to it, means we can only change the index present here only, so we can't add any new index directly. So for that we have to use the insert statement. So for seeing the number of elements present in a list, we can use an function called as length, which takes an list as an parameter. So here we can see that, let's print this. So print, so you can see that here we have 11 elements in the X. So here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So here we have 11 numbers. So if we have to take the last element, so we can use length minus 1. So let's take X, length of X, which is 11, means the total number of element present in it. And as the index start from 1 less than the number of length, so we can subtract this by 1, and then let's print this. So now you can see we access this last index, which is the third. But without using this, we can also directly use a negative number minus 1 for this last is element. So you can see here the same 3 appeared here. Let's change this to 8. Now we have accessed the last element of the list X, which is 8, using the minus 1. If we use minus 2, we will get the second last element. So if we change to minus 3, then it will give us last third, which is the 2 in the list X. So similarly, negative values can give us reverse the elements in the reverse order or by the last to first order. So here we can also create a multi-dimensional array, which can be also called as nesting of array. So let's take NL, which will be nested list, and then create a list. So inside this we'll create 3 lists. So first one will be 4 5, this is the first list, and then this will be the second A. Let's take the string A, string B, string C, and then an empty list. So here let's print this multi-dimensional array. So here you can see the list got printed as we use. So similarly here, this is the first element of this list. This is the first list. So NL contains 3 elements. First is a list which contains integer, second is a list which contains string, and third is an empty list. So to choose the value 2, we can perform the same box bracket and the number of the elements we require. So here, as this is the first element of the nested list NL, so we will first take the 0 index, means this element is now considered. After this, we can again give a bracket and then specify which element we want inside this. So here we require the second element, which is 2 minus 1 1. So here you can see 2 is printed. So now if we have to print the 5, we will put the index number 4, and then you can see 5 is now printed. So here, as this is 2-dimensional array, means this is the first array, the whole big array, and then it again consists the smaller arrays as an elements. So we can use this multi-dimensional notation to use the values inside this. So we can create n-dimensional arrays, but as the n increases, means after the 3 4 5, it becomes confusing to choose the elements from that and modify. So we mostly prefer 2 or max to max 3-dimensional array. So let's create a function which will take the values from the input, and then it will print it as list. So for that, let us consider the first number, which will be n, the number of elements present in this list, because we will use an for loop to take the other all inputs. So let's take 2 as the n, and these are the elements. So let's take n equal to integer input. So as we discussed earlier, input will return a string, so we converted into an integer, and then for I in n, sorry, I in range n, we will then take a of I and then assign it to the value of integer input, means the input value. So this first statement will take the value n as 2, and then the loop will run in the range of 2, means 0 1. As we discussed, this range will take the value n minus 1, so here range will occur 2 times. This for loop will run 2 times while taking I as 0 and then I as 1. So here we can assign a as that, but here let's run and you will see the issue related with this. So here we got a name array as a was not defined, so we have to first define the list. So let's take an empty list. So now as we took the list, now here index error occurs, as this index I 0 doesn't exist in this empty list. So for that we can use a dot append the function with int input. So now let's print this a. Now you can see here 1 and 2 got created into an list. So let's increase the number as 9, and then this is the first element, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 9. So now if we run this, you can see 1 2 3. Let's take the help of this function only, length. So length of a. So you can see here 9 elements are present in this. Let us also sort this array a before printing it. A dot sort. So now you can see this all in sorted order, and the number of elements we gave was n equal to 9. So here also we got the length as 9. So this is the working of list. So here let's comment this and again go to this previous list. So here as x is contains this 11 elements, so we can take a small part of this x, as let's take as the first 5 elements, 4 elements. So we can take this using a special function used in Python, which can be, let's take a variable new list and then assign it to the value x, then the square bracket, and first we will mention from where to start. So we can start with 0, then a colon, after that up to which index. So this is first, second, third and fourth. So we will take up to 5, so the index is 4. So if we take 4 and then print, so let's print the new list. So you can see here, let's comment this, and now you can see here new list got 1 2 3 and 4. So here we got 4 elements, as we choose the 4 elements in this, as we discussed in the range function that it will take up to n minus 1 elements. Similarly here also it took n minus 1 elements from that. So 0th element, first, second and third element. So if we change this to 5, then we can see the 5th element also present here. So similarly, as in the range function, we defined a third parameter which skips the number of times the number of element between the two. So it skips one element between the starting and ending. So it took the 0th element and then skipped the first element and then took the second element, and alternatively it selected the alternate values. So here, as we are starting from 0th value, it is okay to not mention the 0 value, as it will directly take the default value as 0. So you can see as we run again, it didn't show an error. So if we remove this and just print this, so we can see that it printed the 5 elements using that. Similarly, if we print here 3, so it will skip two values between this. So here after this first element it skipped 2 element and then printed the fourth element. So similarly we can take slice of, so we can take slice from anywhere. So let's take and slice from this to this. So this would be first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth element. So sixth element to the last element means it is okay to not define that last element. So we can see, so here also it will take n minus 1. So let's take 5 and you can see here from 67 it printed the all elements up to the last. So similarly if we define again, here we can take the length of the array x and then we can mention here 2. So it will skip single values between this. So now 89, 1 and 3 will be skipped. Now you can see 89, 1 and 3 are skipped and other all values are printed. So similarly if we just put two colons means the starting and the ending point are the same, but if we take this as minus 1 then we will get an list reversed. So here you can see 8 is printed first, then 3, then 2, then 1 and 45, 89, 67 in the reverse order. So there is one more method as we discussed the append, and that there is a method x dot reverse. So it also gives us the same result. Let's print the x. So now you can see the same result is provided by both of the list. So this new list and x are both are same. So let's print this before. Let's comment this, delete this. Let's comment this and this and then run. So you can see the list is reverse. So if we uncomment this, both the statement and then first reverse and again reverse. So let's cut this and reverse before the new list preparation, and then now the x will be firstly reversed and then using this it will be again be reversed and we will get the original x. So let's see. So the first x is the reversed x and again this reversed x is reversed and we got the original x. So you can see the usage of these methods. So there are several methods, you can find that in the documentations of the Python. So if you require some more methods on this list, you can search the methods list in the Python documentation. So there are something more. So let's cut this. There are more implementation and usage of this list. So we can print, as we discussed in the Boolean comparisons, we can compare the values and then print the two Boolean values true or false, which represents that does it holds or not the condition. So we can print as 3 in x. So what does it checks? So it checks is there 3 element 3 in the list x. So now you can see the answer, it returns true. So if we print a number not in that, so let's take a string b. So you can see it will return a false as b doesn't exist in the list x. So similarly you can check for y, so it return false. If we check for nl, then it will return also false. Why? Because it contains a list of this, so it doesn't contains the b element directly. So let's change this quotation mark and check. So now also it returns an false. Why? Because it contains a number of lists. But if we change this to n of 1 and then run, so it returns true. Why? Because n of 1 list returns to this list. So this list contains an string b. So let's change this to double quotes. and then check whether it is or not. So it will return true as these both B are strings, and now as the string exists it will print and true. That's all for this lecture. We will see more data structures in our upcoming sessions.